Hello and welcome to the first ever TheFutonSpuds podcast. I am Skeletor and I'm nervous. um, I guess we'll just go down the list and kind of introduce everybody. So first we got Yuso.
Hello, everybody.
Then we got Jacob.
Hello.
Danny.
How's it going?
Dosei.
Right.
Austin.
I have AIDS.
Damn it!
Terrible night to have a curse.
Oh, crap!
And then we got special guest Miles.
How's it going?
All right, Yuso, I'm gonna leave it to you. I'm done.
All right, so this is our first podcast, or as we like to call them, Spudcast, cleverly named. Actually, Austin helped us came up with the idea, so thanks, Austin.
Yeah, no problem.
So
That's what I'm good for.
we came up with some ideas of what we'd like to talk about and stuff, but we'll see what we go through. Like
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing we want to talk about is like what Square-Enix is going on with.
Yeah, that's pretty big right now.
So
Wait, in the good way or the bad way?
In both.
it's kind of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Well,
What
I'm
good ways
I was
are
pushing
there,
more
really?
towards the bad.
There's some good ways, Austin.
Well, I kind of want to let
Of
Jacob
course we
lead that
do.
discussion because Jacob is really into Square Enix stuff. So Jacob, go ahead and lead this discussion. Whichever you
Alright.
want. There's two things.
Okay.
So go ahead.
All right, I guess we can start with the announcement that just happened yesterday. What was being called Final Fantasy 13-3 got announced as Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13, which sounds weird to say because
Man, these are really getting
I-
really
that's-
creative with these titles.
I know, right?
What a name.
Yeah. But okay, before I get into the kind of negative stuff, I want to say the concept art looks really, really good, and I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of interested.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I this is coming from someone who wasn't really looking forward to 13-3.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, in general, I'm actually kind of interested, so I will play it.
Oh
but
yeah,
one's
I
great.
have to play it.
I'll play it just for just to end the story. You know, that's the
Exactly.
only reason I'll get it probably.
That was
I'm
essentially
hoping that they
regular 13.
include the old characters, because I don't know. This is hundreds of years after 13 and 13-2.
But
So-
Lightning returns apparently.
Lightning Returns, what about Hope, Saz, Vanille, Fang, Sarah, Knowles,
Aw, dude.
Snow?
They can name their game Saz Returns.
Yes. You know,
Yeah,
okay,
so that's what I'm interested in. And I also, one thing I gotta nitpick about is I think this is the first main, I mean, if you want to call this a main entry in the Final Fantasy series, it's the first one since 3, I think, to not have the, classy logo title with the Amano art in the background.
hmm
And I don't know.
I don't know. My opinion is it's not mainline. Neither was 13-2. I mean, do you
Yeah.
count-
Well,
do
I
you
think
count
13-2
10-2?
was 10-2
No,
was main.
I see. I don't know because I don't consider if I'm gonna take 10-2
Should've
and
picked
13-2
Mario.
to be part of the main series, and I also have to take Tactics, which I would love to do. But it's just I think it should just be 1 through 13, or now through 14, and that's it. No side games at all. I mean,
See,
if you want to-
Well, would you even count the MMOs though? Because those don't really
Yeah.
have a substantial story to them that
They
actually matters in the
actually-
Final Fantasy universe.
They actually do.
they do. They have a final boss and everything.
No, I know they have a final boss, but it's
Didn't you
not
read- Did you read the article on Final Fantasy XI's final boss? 18 hours to beat.
God damn.
18 hours.
Yeah. Well, no.
It's-
See, I've heard from as we all know, Lotus. He's not here, but he's told me in the past, Final Fantasy XI's core storyline is actually a lot better than some single player stories, and I can't back that up with my own experience, but that's what he's told me. So.
I
Oh, that's
recently tried, before 14 goes into 2.0, I recently just tried that. Um,
And I
I'm
will
waiting
listen
until
to
2.0.
Oh, you hear it?
and
2.0.
and I want to give 2.0 a shot when it comes out, but
Yeah.
the story for 14 actually interested me. But on the topic of Lightning Returns, I'm going to get it because I've already invested a lot of time, money, and effort into the 13 series.
Mhm.
But I'm having a lot of issues finding the want to play 13-2. I've had it since launch, and I just can't get interested enough. It was the same, like 13 I got on launch too, and then like the December before 13.2 came out, I finally beat it because I'm apparently completely ass at Final Fantasy games, and
No, you're not.
and 13 gave me a lot of trouble, but I also didn't grind a lot. So, I mean, I'm gonna get Lightning Returns just because I've already, I finished 13. I'm gonna finish 13.2 before this one comes out, and I'm gonna do this one. But I'm not happy about it at all.
I wouldn't say I'm
do it,
not
I'm not happy
happy. I'm not unhappy about it. I'm not happy about it. It's more something I want to reserve my opinion on until I get more information or play the game. But this looks like, this game is gonna Lightning Returns. It's gonna be like, they do say it has an ATB system in it, but it's a lot more action RPG. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar to what the E3 2006 trailer looked like for 13.
Wasn't a lot of the focus on this whole like reveal that it has a very open world?
Yeah,
That
it
was
has
like
an open world.
That was the biggest complaint about
But
13 and 13.2.
Well, 13.2's world was decently open, actually.
No,
Yeah,
it was, but it still was a bit linear. And
Say,
that's
you
people
go
complained
back-
about that a lot.
You
Well,
look back at 13's
like-
world.
That was my biggest issue with 10.2 and 13.2. And, like you didn't go from point A to point B. You basically picked from a list of options where to go.
If you want, yeah, I agree completely. Like, I think, 13.2 is a lot. I mean, it's a lot more open. It has sort of a sense of linearity to it, but I think that it's just there's a right way and a wrong way to go about making a game open.
Yeah.
And the right way that Square-Enix has done it in the past, you take a look at Final Fantasy 9 or 12, those do it really well. I think 13.2, it's like they dump too many side quests on you when you're not expecting it, and they're really insignificant, and they don't give much lore to the game, which is why it's sort of like a gimmicky sort of open, not like a real open feeling.
See, my thing is like, I don't think 13.2 should have even happened. Like, what's wrong with leaving an ending open and letting people use their imaginations? Like, whatever happened to that?
Gamers nowadays don't like that.
I mean,
And that's just the sad truth, honestly.
If Final Fantasy Tactics came out now, people would have a field day with that ending.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just...
Oh, go on.
Sorry. No, continue.
I mean, like, that, and I'm sure that a lot of people have said this, but the aspect of time travel is just so utterly stupid. I mean, they make up, like, I'm sure they're not made up, but it seems like they make up words to cover plot holes in this. The only reason I've been playing 13.2, or playing it, is because I beat 13 and feel the necessity to do so. I've been pretty much skipping through all the cutscenes. It's not interesting to me anymore.
See, I don't have a problem with time travel in video games if they do it not in a lazy way. Like games like Chrono Trigger or Radiant Historia did time travel really well, but I know of a couple games that did it like terribly, and it was just used as a way to like fill up space in a story,
It's
Yeah.
At least in 13.2, it's used to cover up plot holes. At least from what I've
It
seen.
is, if there's like something that they can't really explain, they'll just leave it to a paradox in 13.2.
It's in an alternate universe.
But see, this is. I also want to bring this back to a concern with Lightning Returns, is that I really don't want Toriyama to write the story. And he probably is going to, but I really don't want him to, because lately his stories. I mean, 13 was probably his last decent story. I liked his story for 13.
Yeah, 13 was really good.
13.2, he had good characters. Like I legitimately like Noel as a character, and he's a great addition. But overall, the storytelling in general was so out there. And I haven't played The Third Birthday, but I know he also wrote that, and I've heard that that's really out there too.
Yeah, man, that is like.
Did you tell from the grunts?
Yeah, I bought The Third Birthday right when it came out because I was actually kind of excited for it, and I wasn't excited when I was done with it. So let's put it at that. It like the game itself, the actual gameplay to it was relatively fun. I mean, it was fun kind of hopping around and just shooting stuff, but the story was just so... it wasn't... There was nothing made sense, honestly. The story made no sense whatsoever. Like, I didn't even finish it. It was so bad. I was just kind of like...
Yeah,
oh.
well, see, that's the prime example of a story written by Motomu Toriyama. So,
The man at work.
yeah, so I really don't want him to write a 13-3 story because, I mean, Lightning Returns. Because
May as well be 13-3. Let's be honest
Yeah,
here.
I'm just gonna call it 13-3.
That's what everybody's going to be calling it, so...
mhm. But, I mean,
I wonder why they want to evade like calling it 13-3 because they also
Because they probably don't want to be known as making a third sequel for a game that a lot of people don't like.
They're just
Yeah,
trying to
but
cover it
people
up, is
are-
basically what they're doing.
people are still gonna know that, and it's like it goes back to them like changing the fonts and everything like that, and not having it like standard logo. Like they're just like distancing themselves from the first two a lot. So I'm wondering if this one's gonna be like completely different from the other 13 games.
which is really kind of what I'm worried about. In the concept art, I saw somebody that might have been Noel. He looked kind of like Noel, but I don't know. He was
Am I
standing
the
up-
only one? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. You go ahead.
Am I the only one that thinks like the little diamond logo or whatever, or crystal logo above Lightning Returns looks semi-similar to Resident Evil 6's 6?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you are the one percent.
Damn it.
Yeah, I don't really see it.
I think it looks a lot more like Skyrim's logo, actually. Lightning Returns.
I think it looks like The Sims.
See, that's the thing. It's like they're kind of.
High five,
I think they're
man.
kind of getting to that point that they're just like, well, it's not a real Final Fantasy. I mean, it's not a real Final Fantasy sequel, but it's a sequel. But we need to kind of step away from the mainstream. And honestly, just to get my word into this, I never absolutely finished 13, and I have no interest to play 13-2 whatsoever. But I've kind of noticed, especially after looking at the storyline and how this game works for 13-2, I feel like a lot of games nowadays that do interpret the whole time flow and jumping between time and different places, I feel like it's a way for certain games to kind of paste that over the top of the game as a way of hiding all the genericness from it.
Yep.
Mhm.
I don't know why. I feel like
I can
that's
see
what...
that.
No, that's absolutely true, and that's probably what they do when they make the game. They consider like, okay, this game just has a really standard story, but what if we add like 4 alternate dimensions?
Right. Because
Like,
honestly,
Suddenly the game has a shtick.
if
Yeah.
they didn't
Yeah.
put if they didn't put that time hopping in 13-2, all it would have been was 13, like an expansion of 13. I mean, that's what it would have been. It would have been the same thing over again.
Although,
I mean, like,
if I'm going to... Oh, sorry, but I want to just say
Yeah,
this
yeah.
really fast before I forget.
yeah, go.
This goes for all games in general. As far as the story goes, if you're going to make a story, I'd rather have it more simple and more effective than more convoluted and less coherent.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely.
And
I would too, but I really appreciate when video games try to add like a lot of subplots to it. But
Yeah, but they have to do it
even
well.
sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But I appreciate the effort a lot
And, you
because
know,
that just shows like respect for your game. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
continue.
I feel like, 13-2 and Lightning Returns are like, I don't think the stories are good for that because, I mean, think about it. They announced 13 at what, E3 2006?
yeah.
It came out 4 years later, right? 2
Yeah.
years after that, 13-2. That's half the development time. That's half the time taken to properly write a story. And
Well,
now
I do want to
It's like an engine thing too.
Yeah,
though.
it's an engine thing too. For original 13, it was originally being designed for the PS2, and then they started again from the ground up on the PS3. So about half of the development time there was them just sort of screwing around, not really doing anything at all. Really.
Well, still, with the longer development time, they had more time to properly flesh out a story.
That's
with
true,
the-
and it shows.
That's true.
It shows.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm studying game development in college, and, part of the things is, like, writing. And, with these deadlines that, they get, and am I wrong in saying that Square-Enix not only develops but they publish their own stuff as well. I can't seem to remember.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they can, extend their deadlines as they will, but it's more about a cash flow thing. And 2 years was half the development time of Final Fantasy 13. So even if that was an engine deal, they still had more time to properly fix the story as time went on if they, reviewed it properly. Now this game is getting about half the time that Final Fantasy 13-2 got.
So it's getting about a year, because I think they're saying they want it to be released in 2013, and they started, I think August 1st was when they started development on it. So, yeah, but see, really the story is completely, I think, written by Toriyama. I don't think he has any help. And see, maybe that's why 13's story was so much better. It's because he had 4 years to make one story that's decently... it's decent. It's not the best story in the franchise, but it's decent. I'll take it for I'll take it for a Final Fantasy game.
It kept me interested, and I need a good story to keep me interested in an RPG, and that's what made me want to finish it. Was the story, because in my opinion, the gameplay of 13 was lackluster.
What made me want to finish it was the characters. I really like the characters in 13. I don't know.
Me
a lot
too,
of people
yeah.
hate them, but I love Saz. I love Fang.
Well, Saz
I don't like
was-
Snow, but
Nobody likes Snow.
yeah.
Well,
Saz was amazing.
Snow is one thing that does get better in 13 too. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like him in 13
That's
too.
actually true.
Yeah,
But he's still young.
yeah, I really like Hope, and Hope and Lightning and Fang are probably my 3 favorite characters, and I also really like them all, but I like Vanille too. I have something about Vanille, the fact how she's a bubbly character on the outside, but really she's not at all, and is narrating the story. I think there's something so smart about how that was implemented in 13. And really, that kind of love into the story and world was really lacking in 13 too, and that's kind of my biggest complaint about it, is it wasn't designed with love at all. It was kind of just, crafted with,
Would you
throw
say
it
it's
together.
so lost with love? It's so lost without you.
Can I just make one point about Vanille, by the way, that really bugs me, and this is 4 years in the making, I guess. Her voice is god.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, actually,
You're going strong.
I like her voice. I'm not going to lie.
What kind of accent is that?
It's Australian.
There's no way.
Very
that's
bubbly
Australian.
Australian.
The voice actress for Vanille is natively Australian.
Well, so is Hugh Jackman, but he doesn't speak an Australian accent in his movies.
Yeah.
Touche.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually find Vanille's voice actress fitting for her character, even though it's not, it could, people don't like it because of, how she sounds, but I think if she sounded any other way, it wouldn't be fitting her character at all. And I think,
let me rephrase that. I enjoy her voice actor during, when she was narrating, but when she wasn't, it was really grating.
yeah, when she's, in battle going, that.
Like that.
Thank you for doing that voice, Jacob.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That is what the podcast needed. Bravo. Comedy gold.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel I feel like this is something that's not just X or 11, 13, 3, whatever one this is now. I've lost track. I feel like Square-Enix has really kind of gone off rail in general. They're just, I guess this kind of hops over into, that second topic with The World Ends With You. But I just feel like they're kind of just, they've taken a huge left turn compared to what they used to be.
They're letting their fans down on a marketing level.
Right. I feel like they're really trying to, I think at this point they're just trying to make a profit more than trying to keep their fans happy.
See, but when you say keep their fans happy, the majority of the fans, the major franchises that people know Square Enix for are definitely between Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, stuff like that, right?
Dragon Quest.
Right.
You know,
Right.
when you take a couple games that are when you take a series of games like Final Fantasy that's very polarizing, you get a crowd that says, Final Fantasy 6 is the best game ever and 7 sucks, and you get a crowd that says like 7 sucks and 7 was great and 6 sucks. Then you have like 9 and everything, and you have a whole bunch of people clamoring for a 7 remake. They haven't touched, like, you really can't please everyone.
Exactly.
And the problem is that, I think they know that they can't please everyone, but yet they're not pleasing anyone with the decisions that they've made lately.
Yeah.
I mean, a Final Fantasy X remake in HD. Okay, good game, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but where's the love for 5 and 6? Those games got Game Boy Advance ports and haven't been heard from since.
The thing is, that's going to happen with, like, any big franchise. Like, it's kind of the same thing with Zelda, if you think about it. Like, they'll change certain things in the formula, and then people will get mad, but other people will love it.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't really please everyone, and that's the problem. They're not
well,
pleasing
exactly.
Before we go on to Twelve, there is a topic that I kind of want to squeeze in there, and that's Final Fantasy 14 2.0.
Oh,
and
my
I want to say,
God.
yeah, and I want to. I know. It's so good. And
Final
I want
Fantasy
to.
14 2.0. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much, I want to While there's a lot of people at Square that really don't know what they're doing marketing wise, when you look at somebody like Naoki Yoshida, who is making every announcement he's made lately, it kind of makes me want him to be CEO.
But
I
the
think
trailer
we're
is
right
just
now.
so beautifully done. It got me so excited. And it's not even just the trailer was well done. The idea that they're actually building a game from ground up is so smart to me. Like, they recognize their mistakes and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna fix this.
That's
so cool.
That's the biggest positive.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, once I scrounge up about $15, I'll probably put $15 on my account and try it for a month just to see how different it is, because I'm not going to lie, I did enjoy it a little bit. I played it through between the month of July and August, and
that's what a lot of people seemed like who played Final Fantasy 14. They felt bad for enjoying it.
Yeah, and I had to be in the right mood to play it. I had to want to play it. But when I did, I didn't want to stop. And, I'm assuming that's kind of a common MMO issue. But, they did have something... I want to say it's like a diamond in the rough. But it definitely needed more... It definitely needs attention and more refinement, because the way it was, it did get old very quickly. And part of the stuff was flawed.
It's just that they're really trying to compete with... I mean... There are tons of MMOs out there, but I think their biggest competition is themselves, honestly. I mean, they're trying to fight up against what 11 had to offer. And 11 had a lot to offer. That game, it was a slow
It did
MMO.
actually have a really big support, 11
I never got to play it.
It still has a lot of support. I mean,
11's fan base is still massive, actually. It's I think, number 3 or something on all MMOs, or I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't checked in a while.
I'm not making that up, but I kind of am. It just sort of feels like it is number 3. You know what I mean?
Because
I'm not making
I feel like it's pretty big. It's pretty big. Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it's big. And see, with 14, I just Yoshida. He's been the way he's designing this is what we should be seeing in single player games. This is what we should have been seeing in 13. Is the level of detail and care and just the level of care that he's putting into designing this game. I think he would do really well if he went on to help with a future single player Final Fantasy game. It would do it wonders.
See, I heard the music of 14, and I immediately thought if this game was any better, I would immediately just buy it, no questions asked.
The
So,
music is phenomenal.
music is jaw-dropping.
Yeah, it's great.
I think that there's a point where you have to realize that a project has failed, and you need to move on. I mean, and I'm not necessarily saying it with 14 because it's only been 2 years, and 11 had a lengthy lifespan, and I believe you can still get that on Steam.
Mm-hmm. You can, I think.
So 14's kind of borderline, but I mean, like, you know, if I could move this into another Square Enix topic, like Versus, and
This movie.
you know, like Versus is kind of a sore spot for me. Like,
it's a sore spot for everybody.
It's been taking so long that people have been so hyped that they're tired of being hyped.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still really want it, but, you know, just yesterday we got the announcement, someone said that, Hashimoto, I think, was the one that said it, like, there won't be any Versus being shown at Tokyo Game Show this year, but they're getting there. Whatever that is.
See, that's a huge problem, because, and there's a quote from someone somewhere, and I forget what it was, that any press is good press. This game, for the past couple years, has been getting nothing but terrible press because they refuse to release anything more than a couple screenshots every couple years.
Well, see, I read this tweet saying that Square-Enix likes announcing games more than making them, and I think it's kind of true.
See, but, you know, like, my sore spot is that Versus 13, you know, sounded very interesting when they announced it. And then I kind of got vested in it. I was like, okay, I have a PS3 now. I want this, right? And now it's gotten so far that I just don't care anymore, and I want Nomura to move on so that people that won't shut up about Kingdom Hearts 3 will shut up. Because they won't do anything with Kingdom Hearts 3 until Versus is done, and no one seems to properly understand that, and it bothers me when people lay their ignorance out on the table for everyone to see.
Well, actually, on that, you know, if you go, like, to a Kingdom Hearts forum, you'll find that, like, Versus is getting a lot of hate now, because, I mean, I know they're not filling up Kingdom Hearts with filler, because the recent games have been very heavy on the story, especially Kingdom Hearts 3D, but, the point is that, as far as, like, Versus is getting hate because it's, like, pretty much the wall, the impenetrable wall that stands in the way between Kingdom Hearts 3 and everyone that wants to play it, and it's not going anywhere.
Because most of the main team that's supposed to do Kingdom Hearts 3 is doing Versus 13, and isn't Nomura the project head of, like, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2? Nomura. So with him, you know, supposed to be doing Kingdom Hearts 3, but sticking to Versus, it's not getting anywhere, and it's rather annoying, and I'm
making a lot of fans mad.
And, like, you know, bad press in terms of a game like this is not good, and I'm getting, like, to borrow a phrase of mine, to borrow a phrase from a friend of mine, I'm getting douche chills about it, because for 7 years this game has been in development, and I put that in quotation marks. So was Duke Nukem Forever, and I know that that's still about 3 or 4 years away from being an accurate comparison. That game came out, and it sucked.
Badly.
Really bad.
Bad.
And with a game that's getting this much development time, it may look pretty, but it's probably going to be awful. And I'm not, you know, laying my money out for this. I'll rent it if I can.
Well, see, what's keeping me going is I have a lot of faith in the Kingdom Hearts team for making excellent games. So, I mean, it's not the same as the Final Fantasy 13-2 team. They're completely different teams. So, while, you know, the marketing and the press may be terrible, I'm still confident in, like, any game that Nomura himself has made has never disappointed me, and I don't think Versus is going to be the first one to do that. So...
But the problem is that the Kingdom Hearts games get great press, and, you know, even the main two, and nothing. So,
well, speaking of Nomura, The World Ends With You.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, how about
Well,
much
I'm
was
gonna
it again,
say,
like-
I'm gonna say before we go on that I did buy the iOS version, and I find it better than the DS version, even though I really wanted a sequel. But do you guys mind? Like I just heard this yesterday. I don't think it's a spoiler as much as it is an announcement, but there's a picture after the ending of 12 iOS that basically has a picture of a new girl, and in the background it says "New 7 Days." So you might still actually,
What?
yeah.
What? Okay,
Yes.
you just made me feel better. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
And
What?
this girl is full. This girl is. See what is really making me kind of like this girl in the picture is holding Mr. Mew. If you guys know who Mr. Mew is,
He's hype.
and yeah, she's holding Mr. Mew and she's wearing headphones. So
That's like
3DS
cool.
release. 3DS release.
Accurate shit. Got a baby.
I mean, if that's hinting anything, I don't want to spoil because yeah, but
We'll
Well,
see.
no.
It was one of those games I knew you suspected they would probably make a sequel for how good it was and for how much popularity it had. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. I think people were expecting it to be a little faster than what it's been.
Yeah.
So,
The quality
But I
takes time.
What I think got
Oh,
people
yeah.
mad is that there's no reason to make a countdown site for a port.
Yeah. It felt like
Yeah,
a
that
major
was
letdown.
really annoying. I thought they were gonna announce the sequel, and then they announced the port, and that the port announced the sequel. So that
Yeah,
was
the
kind
port
of stupid,
announced the
but-
sequel. But at least the
Still,
port,
that's not
like, it's stupid that they did that, but if they're going to port it, at least port it good, and they did. The port is so good. You have no idea how much fun. Like 12 has climbed into my top 5 since I've been replaying it on the iOS.
So essentially, and I've never played Twelly. I know.
So good.
I'm an
It
awful
is
human
extremely-
being.
it is
My
really
top 5
good.
as well, I'd say.
It is weird at first. It is
So-
very
It is
weird
at
to get
first.
used to.
Although
So-
it's a little easier to get used to on the iOS as well, which is what I think is also good about it.
So Square-Enix expects me. I don't have an iPad. I have an iPhone. Okay, so I probably won't be getting any of those anyway.
I know
Well,
where
no,
this is
it's on the
But-
iPhone.
I
No,
know
it is,
I-
but it's hard to
is.
play on that. I
I know
meant.
where you're going with
I've
this.
only
Square-
on
Essentially, Square-Enix is making me pay between
Mhm.
$18 and $20 for a
Mhm.
sequel announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go on, keep
I
going.
call-
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the plan, anyway.
Sorry, I call bullshit.
Yeah.
$20 for a sequel announcement?
I can
Well-
see getting it, like, getting the port instead of the DS game, like, if you haven't played it before. But I don't know, except for Jacob, I don't know who would actually, like, buy the port after they already
Oh,
had the
I know
games,
some
for sure.
people that
I
would.
probably would, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really, I mean, just to replay, I mean, one thing is Twelly only has one save file, so if you really want to play the game from scratch again, you got to delete that 100-hour file that you've been playing.
I'm
fine with that.
I recently
Yeah.
did that, and I cried a little bit on the inside, but...
But yeah, in general, I think it's more about like, I mean, there's not a ton of gameplay changes, but there's, as far as like cutscenes go and the amount of tracks that they added, like in the soundtrack, it just makes like the game feel so different. And I think that's just, in my opinion, because music has a huge effect on me when I play, and when the amount of new songs that they added made every cutscene really exciting for me, and it's, I don't know, I'm still hearing new ones that, you know, are amazing. And this is coming from someone who didn't like Toei's music initially, and now I love it. So, yeah.
Yeah. It takes getting used to.
It's an acquired taste, yeah.
There's one. This is going back to what you said about paying for sequel announcement and everything like that. But I don't know why they suddenly thought that going on to iOS and basically asking for every game that they have made to be basically $10 to $15 plus for every game that they've come out with on iOS, whether it's iPad or iPhone. I don't know where they got the idea that that was a proper price when I could essentially go onto the iOS store right now and buy, let's see, I'm trying to think, Infinity Blade. That's a really popular game. Infinity Blade 2.
How
that's
much is Infinity Blade?
That's
I would say it's
99
like
cents.
it's like $6. I think it's like $6 for the
Okay.
second one, maybe
Yeah.
$3
I got it
for
for
the
$3,
first
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Well, personally,
You can also go buy Minecraft Pocket Edition
Either of them.
for.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you're
But-
comparing orange, like apples to oranges here. I mean, like,
yeah, like
you also have
these
to
are
consider
actual
the length.
games that. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, you
Well,
have
Infinity
to
Blade is a very... I'm sorry.
I mean, you have to consider like the actual length of a typical Square Enix RPG. So I can understand like them charging $10 for Final Fantasy III, like the port of the DS one. But I mean,
Infinity Blade was decently long, though.
Wonder if that has
Yeah,
anything-
you can sit down and go through Infinity Blade. I think I had probably, I'd probably say 10 to 20 hours somewhere between there on my original Infinity Blade game through, and that's to go from the start of the game and complete like the actual story mode. So, not
Well,
to
see,
spoil it.
I want to bring something up. I don't get why people complain that much about the high prices on iOS, because really they're about the same as the prices on Xbox Live, Marketplace, and PlayStation Network, and I think it's sort of like a parallel. And I mean, I know iPad, it's an app, but like you're not really when you download these games, you're not downloading an app, you're downloading an entire game that if you bought, like, the DS version of 12, you can probably buy it used for more than it is on the iOS anyway. And I think that,
Well,
like, you're
I think
buying a
it's a case-
brand new game that
People are
See,
just
but-
kind of sad. that they
Journey
don't have
itself was $20 on PS3.
Journey's 15.
Oh, is it 15? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Journey's 15. Aside from like a game like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic the Gathering that not requires you, but has the availability or the option to purchase new cards, I don't think there's ever really been a game on either Xbox Live Arcade or PlayStation Network that's been over $15. And Square Enix is really pushing it, especially with
unless
Final
it's like
Fantasy.
a downloadable retail game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Is
mean,
that what he
That's a
is?
different story.
Yeah, that is...
Twoey was, I mean, yeah, you could argue that, but it's also a 2D game, and
What?
I'm not saying that makes it a less quality and less deserving of a high price, but it costs less to make.
I mean,
So-
I got
oh yeah.
let me just kind of like put gas on the fire, I guess. With this, the other day, not even, I think it was not maybe yesterday or the day before, Square Enix, excuse me, they released Final Fantasy Dimensions for
Yep.
iPad and iOS.
That's
Now,
what I was going to talk about. Yeah.
yeah.
They
Now
actually did
that-
a good decision with this.
Now, it's a good game, don't get me wrong, and I think their idea of how you pay for it is good, but this kind of comes back to the whole paying for so much when you look at it full retail. Because you get the prologue for free, which I think they said it takes about 2 to 3 hours between that and then the 15 chapters that come with it. So you can buy them at basically whenever you want to, but in the end it's going to cost you full retail, I think, like $30.
No, dude,
For the-
in US, it's flat 30 and you get everything.
Red.
Yeah, it's flat 30, but that's what I'm saying. That's $30 for an iOS game. This isn't something that came out on PlayStation Network or Xbox. This is an app, like a straightforward app. I mean, you could go out and buy a full retail. You could buy a full retail. You could probably buy a copy of Final Fantasy 13 for the same price. is
Okay,
what I'm
but so if you ask me this, if Final Fantasy Dimensions came out, like, say, on the 3DS,
Yuso,
the same
go
exact game, would you complain if that was $30?
See, that's the other thing, is that I think it's a design choice that they said, we're going to release a full-length game, but instead of putting it on 3DS, which it very, very possibly could have been, I don't see why they couldn't have done that.
Yeah, I don't
It
see
was
why
a
they
good-
could throw it on the eShop or
It-
something.
It definitely was an option. They decided to go with iOS, and that's their choice, and that's fine that they're trying to make the mobile platform like a reputable source for games. I have no issue with that. But at the same time, when there's not been any games of that size for that price really being released on iOS that have been any good, how can you trust it? And I know, it's Square Enix, it's a 2D Final Fantasy game, kind of like 1 through 6. they're trying to catch lightning in a bottle
I don't even know where they
for like 7 times in a row, and with a 2D game, and you know, even if it was on 3DS, like you have to wonder. I haven't played it, and I'm not spending $30 for an app on my tiny ass iPhone screen.
Well, I will say this now: you can go out and buy the prologue for free, so you can play the first 2 to 3 hours of the game for free, and then basically go from there. And then what you can do is you can buy each chapter for I think it's like $2.99. So if you do like it, you can go pay an extra $2, but you do not have to go out and straight pay for $30.
One thing I want to know, because I'm not sure about this, if you pay, like, say you pay for the first 5 chapters separately, does that decrease the full price of the game, or are you still paying $30 when you decide to buy the whole game?
I think
it comes out to a total of $30. But I thought that was only in. I thought that only in the United States you couldn't do that. They just gave you the full game for $30, and you couldn't buy it.
I downloaded the iPad version. I think it was yesterday, and you can download the prologue for free.
Really?
Like I said, you can.
Yeah, I have the prologue as well.
It's
then
decent,
I don't see it.
but it's decent. But like I've said, not on the podcast, but kind of my philosophy with iPad touch gaming is I need a controller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
like
it works
physical
perfectly
controller.
for TOEI because TOEI is a touch game on the DS as well.
Yeah.
But for something like for Final Fantasy Dimensions, I actually found the way they did the battles decent because now it's on the side, the thumb thing, so it's okay. It's not like how Final Fantasy 3 did it. But now you have an ATB, so you actually have to work with timed events as you're playing on the touchscreen. And I think that they did the battles okay, but still the exploration outside of battles is really finicky. I've always hated the image of a D-pad on the screen that you're pressing buttons with. I think that's so bad. And that's what I like about Final Fantasy 3 is they give you an analog stick instead.
I just feel like even with the Final Fantasy games, I still want a controller. It just feels kind of a little weird playing.
I have a general issue playing games on the iPhone either.
Same here.
It's just uncomfortable.
Anyway,
As long as it's not a platform, I'm fine with it.
I went out and bought. I purchased what was it, Modern Combat? Yeah, Modern Combat 3, which was on sale for like $1, which is a great deal. Don't get me wrong, but the idea of playing an FPS on my iPad is just I can't comprehend it. Like my fingers are like, how is this working?
You should count yourself lucky that you have an iPad in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know how this stuff.
Yeah, you complaining about, man.
This
Come on.
this Skype podcast on my end is being brought to you in part by iPad. So
Yeah, I'm not on my iPad, but I won
By
my
the way, Apple
I didn't
products
buy
are great.
I show you a picture of my room.
Just so you know, this podcast is not sponsored by Apple in any way, shape, or form.
No, they are not sponsoring us in any
Will
way.
accept me for sponsoring for mentioning your products.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What?
we will.
All right.
All right,
So,
anyway.
I'll go down to the next one before getting farther into this hellhole of a discussion.
Yeah, right.
Because I feel like we could go on Square-Enix for 3 hours. It's just...
Yeah,
and
we
wouldn't.
We could go on anything for 3 hours, so that's the
We
thing.
wouldn't get anywhere. It'd just be kind of walking in the same place the whole time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'd say we just go on down to the second one on the list, and Zombie U. Would anybody like to, who's more informed on this than me,
I could talk about it.
go right ahead?
All right, basically, Zombie U was a game previously known as Killer Freaks for Outer Space, and it was being developed by Ubisoft, and it was basically just looked like this. Originally, it looked like Hicks fighting aliens, and then apparently changed to a zombie survival game. And they showed the trailer for it. It's for the Wii U, by the way, at E3 this year, and it was like this really creepy trailer. I believe playing a rendition of "God Save the Queen."
Yeah.
It was really creepy, and it got a lot of people talking, and a lot of people were like, what is this? And this is a ridiculous name. And then they started showing, gameplay, and the gameplay in it's so interesting, how they use the tablet to, look around and stuff like that with your inventory and stuff like that. It's so intuitive, and I love that. And then they gave you details on it, and it's kind of like if you get killed, you go to another zombie pretty much, and you can go back to your previous body, or you go to another survivor, and you can go back to your zombie, to your now zombified form, and kill it, and get all your loot back. And I think that's just, like, so cool. Like, I love that idea.
That's really interesting, yeah.
Because what I heard was that once you died once in Zombie U, that was it.
No. That's probably, like, in a multiplayer mode or something like that.
I say there's supposed to be rumored. There is multiplayer to it, right?
Yeah, there's, like, this Zombie Master multiplayer mode that also sounds really cool.
See, I feel like I feel like a lot of zombie games have been doing this very recently, especially with the whole jumping zombie games, and you'll know what I mean when I say it. I feel like this is really trying to be its own type of DayZ kind of game, because it is this. I mean, there's no real plot to it, is there? Is it just straight survival, or do they have an actual story?
I think there is a plot. Like, there's different locations and characters and stuff like that, but I don't think it's, like, set storyline.
I was going to say...
It's probably not going to be something along the lines of Resident Evil.
Yeah. Right. Well, from what I've kind of seen or heard, I should say, it seems more like it's turning into a case of it's trying to be DayZ in the sense of it's kind of straight survival, like you have to find what you need and you have to find your ammo. Did they say anything about food and stuff? I don't remember.
They haven't said anything about that yet.
If they're trying to be hyper-realistic or not.
No, but Reggie likes French food.
I don't think they're doing food, though.
I can't remember, but I mean, it's supposed to be very, I do know it's supposed to be very realistic to the point where, to the extent where you kind of have to find what you need to stay alive. And essentially you're just kind of going from place to place, room or house to house. I think they give you that kind of, like I said, I don't know what how big the story is and how much freedom you have, but I think they have the freedom that you can go into particular rooms on your own. Like, you have the choice, like, oh, hey, I could go into this room and see if there's shotgun ammo, but there's probably going to be like 2 or 3 zombies in there, so I got to make the choice of, do I want to go in there and sacrifice ammo? And that's another, I guess that brings up another thing on the whole realistic thing is, are you going to have, like, am I going to go pick up one shotgun shell and suddenly have 15 rounds? Or is it one shell is one shell and you have limited amount? So, like, if you go into a room, there's 3 zombies. Use as many shells as you want. I guess that's...
kind of
iffy.
I really like the idea that the Wii U is being taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I do like the idea of Zombie U, aside from, like, the stupid zombie camera gimmick, because that's really all it is a gimmick.
Yeah, but that's not going to be used, like, in gameplay, though.
Yeah, but, like, I just feel like, that's, even though it's a bonus, I feel like that's kind of wasted development time. And in just trying to show off how the tablet works. But, survival horror is one of those things that I don't really like to talk about because I get scared very easily. So I definitely won't be getting this. Like, if a friend of mine has it, I'll play it.
Ooh.
Shut up. But,
Miles, like, drops from the call.
But I really do like the idea that, even though it's Ubisoft who doesn't really have the greatest track record with all of their games, I do like the fact that they see the Wii U as a platform that can be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm. It also goes really hand in hand with Rayman Legends, which also looks amazing, I think.
Rayman Legends looks so good, especially from, like, Rayman Origins.
I'm amazed at how much, like, at first it was kind of I feel like it was kind of like everybody was laughing at it at first, but more and more developers are slowly taking this whole Wii U thing, like, we could probably make some money off of this. We could probably make this thing, this thing's pretty good.
But what I'm worried about is that I don't want the Wii U to be the console that everybody takes this generation's games and ports it to. Like, I don't want it to be a port console. And that's kind of what it's looking like right now.
I think how it's going to work right now is that...
But, what else are you going to do? Like, are you going to start off with next-gen games before the PS4 and Xbox 720 are even out? Because then you can't really even define next-gen.
But I think like Wii U is really still this gen. Even though it is technically next gen, it's like allows developers times like when the PS3 and the Xbox 360 are sort of done with, they can still make current gen type games and put them on the Wii U.
Yeah, but then Wii U's going to get lost in the tracks.
Yeah, I know, but that's the same thing that we had. That's
Yeah, here's the thing: is that I'm very concerned about the Wii U because number one, it looks like a port. Aside from a couple games, it does look like a port console. Mm-hmm. Number two, from the spec sheets that we've seen and the announcements that Nintendo has made about it, it's only about as strong as the PlayStation 3 and a 360. And when they come out with their next gen consoles, it's going to be
actually, for a PS3 and Xbox 360, they're actually planning on having a 10-year life cycle instead of a 5-year one.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, and everyone tells me I'm wrong. But see, the thing is, Austin, you said earlier, like, you can't really define next gen. Xbox 360 came out a year before its competition, and they did it.
Just the thing with 360 and PS3 is that they have add-ons. Like, they have like the Kinect and PlayStation Move, which is like pretty much like the Sega CD. It's just trying to make the console last longer.
Mm-hmm. But Xbox 360 had a lot of ports when it originally came out too. That's the problem. You can't really start with a console and just start making next-gen games immediately. That's not. It can't really work that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but the 3DS started out like that. Like, it had pretty much mostly ports, and now there's mostly original games for it. So it's probably just going to be something you're going to see for about a year or so.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, the 3DS grew really well. It just took a little time. That's all.
I actually love my 3DS right now. Like, I play it so much.
I was seriously contemplating getting a 3DS XL just because of how good that looked too, and I know that's like I ended up not because I can't afford it with so many other things coming out right now.
That's
but I will say if I did have the money, I definitely would have gotten the 3DS XL.
See, here's my opinion on the 3DS. There's been, and a lot of it has to do with me not having any money to spend, but a lot of the games, even the first-party ones, aren't keeping my attention. And
really?
Yeah,
really?
I cannot. The one game that almost did it for me, was Kid Icarus, and the control scheme was
The thing with Kid Icarus is you can change that control scheme like in so many different ways. I think that's
they give you like so many options for that. Like you can use you can use you can use A, B, X, and Y to move the reticle if you want.
And
it feels really awkward. But there.
You can even use the CircleFed Pro if you're left-handed too.
That's how Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker did it.
That's like a whole other debate that I'm not really wanting to have because I see things about that game differently. But
podcast number 2.
Yeah, right.
Pretty cool for
Kid Icarus.
But I mean,
try it out for yourself.
I mean, like the 3DS for me is kind of an issue. When I first got it, I got it on launch, and I had the 3D cranked up, and now, like a year and basically a half later, I can't use the 3D anymore. Otherwise, my eyes like burn like the fire of 1,000 suns.
That doesn't happen to me at all.
It doesn't happen to me either.
And the other problem is I have really large hands, so when it comes to games like Mario Kart 7 and stuff like that, it's very uncomfortable to play for long with my fingers basically clawed, and it's not comfortable to get used to that.
That's how the DS was though too.
You don't find myself, I really don't find myself playing it for more than an hour at a time, and I hope that changes with Paper Mario, but
that's gonna be
well, see, I bought it not on day of release but on week of release. The 3DS, and the main reason I got it at first is because I really, I hadn't played Ocarina of Time yet, so I thought I might as well just play the 3DS version, and I did, and I was really happy, and I think they implemented the 3D in that game really well, and I also think they did the 3D really well in Kid Icarus, but my one complaint
the 3D was done best in Super Mario 3D Land.
Oh, I haven't played that yet, but anyway, I think
Paper Mario is probably going to be the winner for that soon.
The 3D, I think, like, my favorite game on the 3DS right now is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, but I think the 3D is handled probably the least effectively in Kingdom Hearts 3D, because I often play Cage 3D with the 3D turned off, which is the only game on my 3DS that I do that for, apart from Mario Kart 7. So
I'm not gonna lie.
I can't play Mario Kart 7 with 3D.
The reason that I got the 3DS, Nintendogs.
What a trooper.
You would.
What a trooper.
Yeah, right? I still have it.
I got the 3DS at launch just because it had the word Nintendo on it. That's it.
There you go. Makes money. Yeah, I guess we'll try to stay a little bit on topic. I feel like that's going to be something else we could really just sit down and go at forever and ever, because you could just sit and look at the DS and just talk about the pluses and the negatives and how its past year or so has been, but I think we should just kind of keep going on. Just going to the next topic for now, just so we can stay somewhat on track and get done somewhat early tonight.
Yeah, we got to end off kind of soon here.
What is the next topic?
Actually, this is the one I wanted to talk about, and it's Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes.
Okay, now what is this? Because I saw there was a reveal trailer, and it was 10 minutes long, and I was like, no, my attention span isn't long enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either.
I'll give you a quick general basis of it. You can find it on YouTube and stuff now. Essentially, there was a big presentation or something earlier this week because of Metal Gear's, is it 20th anniversary?
25. Yeah.
25th,
So for the 25th, Kojima decided to have this little press release thing, and there was this whole controversy thing that they couldn't let people take photography or let anybody see it at the time, but people still went ahead and did stuff anyway. And so what came out of it was...
going to get trolls like that.
Well, we got two things out of it. First, we got the Metal Gear Solid movie, and then we got a new game essentially called Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, and a lot of people thought it was just going to be some sort of tech demo for the new Fox engine that they apparently have running for it, but is actually their next game, what they're making, and I think they said they don't actually have a release date for it yet. So essentially, from what I have gotten from the 14-minute demo, they have put a lot of time into trying to make the game. I mean, the realistic look to the game is phenomenal. The entire demo has nothing but rain going on, like heavy rain, like storming rain.
Heavy rain.
No.
I hate that game.
The rain is very heavy.
The rain is indeed heavy.
Continue.
But, I mean, this game, it looks so good. The engine looks phenomenal. And they say it's for current gen, but that's for another day, too. But anyway, from what I've seen from the demo, and this is for people who actually, know what goes on in the Metal Gear Solid world, we have literally 10 minutes of talking and cutscenes, and then at the very end, we get supposedly Snake climbing up a cliff, and as he comes up the cliff, he takes off these night vision goggles, and we are presented with a very old Snake, and I thought it was going to be Metal Gear Solid 5, but then he takes off his night vision goggles, and he has an eye patch. So I think essentially it's Big Boss, but, it's hard.
That's really interesting.
Is it safe to say that this could be Metal Gear Solid 5? I mean, 3.
From what articles are saying, they are saying, let's see, Kojima unveiled the first gameplay of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, which is called a prologue to Metal Gear Solid 5. So I think we're getting very close to 5, but they don't want to say, hey, it is 5. But... I mean, you can go on, like I said, you can go find this video on YouTube. Just search Metal Gear Solid, or Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, and you're going to find it. But essentially, from what the demo showed later on, is that it is an open world Metal Gear Solid game, which allows you to kind of take the feel the way you want to, kind of like the games kind of did in the past, but much more open. I don't know how open they're saying it is, but you can also apparently you are able to hijack vehicles, and so I guess apparently you're giving
sounding like GTA, kind of.
Well, kind of. I mean, it's
kind
very
of going that direction.
Metal Gear Theft Auto.
Yeah, kind of. Like I guess
Auto.
you are given missions, and then you kind of have to You kind of have to get to these mission bases and stuff like that. And then, like you said, the environment changes depending on where you're at. And I don't know if there's a day and night kind of cycle. From the looks of it, I would not be surprised there's some day and night cycle. But also one other thing is that they allowed for some sort of backup as well. So they allow for, chopper lifts. I don't know what else you can call in for support. I don't know if the situation gets too hot, you can call in for reinforcements.
Landmaster.
All of a sudden, Snake comes around a corner, and he's just got 50 soldiers on his left and right, and it's just a mass army just swarming a base. That's all I gotta do. Mission over.
So let me ask you this as an opinionated question. Do you think this is a continuation of Peace Walker?
Yeah, I do believe so, actually, in my honest opinion, because I played the bejesus out of Peace Walker. I love that game.
Peace Walker is really good.
I mean, if you get a picture, when you get the chance to take a look at Big Boss, especially before they shoot, just the still images of him, he looks like he's in his old suit that he wore during Peace Walker, that kind of black and orange. It's hard to describe, kind of, I don't know. So it looks like a modified version of that, but there's all sorts of speculation on what the story's about and what's going on, and it's really hard to tell. And they show who is supposedly the main villain, but nobody's really sure who exactly he is. So there's
the main villain is the game disc from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
I'm
really excited for that one as well.
Yeah,
I'll probably pass on that one.
But essentially, from
thinking it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But essentially, this game looks phenomenal. I can't describe how good this game looks. You just kind of have to go look at it.
I'll definitely take a look at it. It sounds interesting. So
it sounds very interesting. I have not been this hyped for a game since Borderlands 2 was first announced. That's essentially how hyped up I am for this game. And that, I was...
By the way, 17 more days until Borderlands 2.
Don't remind me, man. Don't remind me. I'm waiting till you...
I was okay with Borderlands 1. I couldn't really get into it that much, but I did like what I played. I kind of wish I wasn't, on, 13 hours of not... Or, I mean, 13... Or 30 hours of not sleeping when I played
30 hours. No sleep.
Yeah, 30 hours.
Yeah. Borderlands 1 was a lot of fun. I never completed it, and I regret that because I played as the sniper, and I'm awful at first-person shooters, so I got stuck in places.
It's one of those games that if you have friends, if you have 3 other friends that'll play with you, you will not stop. Not stop. I had 3 other friends that played it with me. We went straight level cap. I mean, no problem. We had that much. I
actually managed to get $150 and get the loot chest for PC. So. Wow. Yeah. Nice. I saved up a bit for it, so I'm excited.
So they, make some extra sellings at your lemonade stand.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. 50 cents. Not 50 cents. You'll get it.
I have yet to play Borderlands.
You owe it to yourself to do so. If you can get 3 friends, you owe it that also have it for the same platform you get it. You owe it to yourself to play it because it is one of the defining co-op experiences in first person.
Yeah, and if anything, you can probably get the original Borderlands on PC or even on console for extremely cheap. And I think you can actually still find a tad bit of a community still playing it. So
I really appreciate the RPG elements in it because I'm not really an FPS guy at all. I'm all RPG, and I mean, I kind of wish that it had been more RPG than it is FPS because it's really about 75% FPS and 25% RPG. It's still I can still appreciate it for trying something different, and also the art style is really cool too.
Yeah, a lot of the issues with Borderlands 1 are fixed in 2. I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to say they fixed a lot of the making it more RPG ish,
No.
but a lot of like, if you went through the first Borderlands, like it kind of stuck to one color scheme. You have a bunch of that kind of stuff, and it looks like a fix to an already good game, which
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things when I first heard about it. It was kind of like, it just sounds so generic. Like, I don't think it's gonna be that good. And then I had a friend try. He's like, oh, you'll like it, give it a shot. And then it turned into I told another friend, and then I told another friend. And then before we knew, we had 4 of us that were all playing it together and have the time of our lives. And I think that's what, it turned out as one of those FPSs that people were kind of like, it's just an FPS, who cares? Until people actually got it, and people told other people, and they told other people, and then it just went nuts and kind of became a, cult classic kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I guess kind of transition into the other topic, unless anybody else has anything else to say.
Well, we only got like about 5 minutes left until.
Yeah, we don't really have enough time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But we'll push the topics to the next one. We'll definitely cover them.
Yeah, that's fine. But I think this is a good start. I don't know.
I think we did well.
This is a fun podcast. I mean, this is like the most interesting discussion I've had with other gamers in a while.
This is how we talk like every night though when we're in a Skype call. So it's like it sounds really natural, honestly.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I said,
I kind of forgot we were recording for a while. It's like,
Well, like I said last week, it's just, if we're going to be talking like this every weekend or whatever, might as well just record it and throw it up online. So here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
So,
why not? So,
aside from these Spudcasts, we also have a different type of video in mind, which me and I believe Punko and Danny, or Dosei, one of the two, are going to try out first, where we're going to each play the same game. We're going to start at the same time, and as we're playing, we're going to discuss how we think about it and stuff, and try to give information on it. And after that, we also have Skeletor, who's going to do one for PC gaming with, but we'll figure that out later. That's
all stuff in the future.
We'll burn that bridge when we'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to add variety to the TheFutonSpuds.
Yep.
The tale of 3 taters.
That's the greatest.
No, I got our motto, guys. The TheFutonSpuds, because fuck potatoes. That's what I got. There you go. There's our belief gentlemen. First bleep. Woo!
I like it. Yeah.
I'm pretty. I've said curses, not fuck, but there's a second one.
All right. Anyway, this has been a fun podcast. So we should go through the people who've been in it. Well, this was originally whose idea was this at first?
Skeletor.
Skeletor, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Our
You're
savior.
welcome. I am your Jesus Christ.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, you called for me. Huh?
I said, but I'm Jewish. How does that work?
Hey, I'm Jewish too. Yeah.
Oh man, it's getting racy all of a sudden.
And then Adrian, because he helped set this up a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Danny and Dosei and Austin and Miles and me, and that's pretty much everyone.
Don't think yourself. You didn't do anything. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just a special guest.
Don't give yourself credit.
Lay off, man.
Good job, everyone.
I'm just a special guest, and I happen to be very special.
Okay.
Yes, very special.
Wait. Is the rest of is all this part still going on the podcast? Are we still gonna throw all this? Okay, good. Okay. Just make
Good.
We're like patting each other on the shoulder, like good job, and we're still recording,
Excellent.
That's right. All right. Well, are we gonna call it good then?
Yeah.
Are we gonna call it good to go?
All right. Bye, everybody. Until next time.
Well, I guess this is the first TheFutonSpuds podcast. Hopefully, Spudcast, whatever you can call it.
Spudcast? Okay.
I guess say wait weaker. We need a theme song.
Oh, God.
There we go.
Bye, everybody.
Let's pass.
Goodbye.
Outro music.
Bye.
Bye.